With the 2023 NHL season just around the corner, it's that time of the year when we all make our predictions for the new season just to look back on them during the summer and realize how wrong we all were. In this video, I will be giving my predictions for the Pacific Division standings for the 2023 NHL season. Coming in at last place in the Pacific Division, I have the Sharks. Last season, the Sharks ended with 77 points and they were 6th in the division. Their main offseason moves consisted of trading Brent Burns to the Carolina Hurricanes, re-signing Luke Kunin to a 2-year contract, and re-signing Mario Ferraro to a 4-year contract. The Sharks are a team that should be rebuilding right now, but they still have many contracts on their books from when they were cup contenders and were in win now mode. They have some really bad contracts on their books, such as the Carlson and Vlasic deals. On top of that, Logan Couture has an $8 million cap hit for the next 4 seasons, and Tomas Hertl got an 8-year extension that will pay him over $8 million per season until he is 36. I don't need to spend too much time talking about the Sharks. We know they're a bad team. I think they will be the worst team in the Pacific because the teams that finished below them last season I feel got better, while the Sharks did not. At number 7, I have the Anaheim Ducks. The Ducks during the offseason added Frank Vatrano, Ryan Strome, and John Klingberg to their team. They also re-signed Isaac Lundestrom as well. There are many things to be excited about when it comes to this team. Troy Terry had a breakout season last year, scoring 37 goals in 75 games. Trevor Zegras will continue to get better, and I've liked everything I've seen from Mason McTavish at every level I've seen him play at. Given their off-season moves, the Anaheim Ducks have what it takes to be a surprise team. Don't forget, the Ducks were in the wildcard hunt for a good part of last season. But the reason that I still have them finishing 7th in the division like they did last year is because I don't believe in John Gibson. For the past couple of seasons, John Gibson has been a below average goalie. Now sure, the team in front of him isn't good either, but they weren't good in 2019 and he still put up a .917 save percentage that year. The last 3 seasons he's been at around a .904. If he does have a bounce back, like I said, I feel like the Ducks can be one of the most surprising teams in the NHL. But I don't believe that's going to happen, so for that reason I have them at 7th. At number 6, I have the Seattle Kraken. The Kraken were the worst team in the Pacific Division last year, only tallying 60 points. I feel like in year 2 the Seattle Kraken are going to make a big improvement. For starters, they have Matty Beniers and Shane Wright. That on its own makes the team better than they were last year. On top of that, they signed Andrei Burakovsky from the Colorado Avalanche and they traded for Oliver Bjorkstrand from Columbus. The Seattle Kraken this season have a much deeper forward group than they did last year. Also, in my previous video, I talk about how I think Philip Grubauer is going to have a bounce back season. Not that I think he's going to go back to being a Vezina candidate, but he's going to be better than he was last year because last year was just awful. And yeah, I know it sounds weird saying I don't believe in John Gibson to then saying I think Philip Grubauer is going to bounce back, but that's just what I'm feeling. I think this Seattle team can really surprise many people. That's not to say I think they're going to be in the wildcard hunt, but they're going to be a lot better than people expect them to be. Finishing 5th in the division, I have the Las Vegas Golden Knights. The biggest story surrounding the Golden Knights during the offseason was them trading Max Pacioretty for absolutely nothing. But also during the offseason, they hired Bruce Cassidy as their new head coach, signed Riley Smith to a 3-year contract, and signed Phil Kessel to a 1-year contract. Despite trading Pacioretty for nothing, Vegas still has a lot of talent on their team, with players such as Jack Eichel, Riley Smith, Jonathan Marchessault, Mark Stone, Phil Kessel, Alex Pietrangelo, and Alec Martinez. The biggest concern I have about this team is their goaltending, especially with Robin Leonard being out for the season. Logan Thompson and Aiden Hill is the goalie tandem that this team currently has. I feel like the way Logan Thompson plays is going to determine how well this team is able to do. Logan Thompson currently only has 20 career games under his belt, and while he's been pretty good in those games, the sample size is too small for me to definitively say how he'll do as the full-time starter of this team. Overall, the Vegas Golden Knights should still be a team that's in playoff contention for most of the season. Whether or not they're actually going to make the playoffs, I can't definitively say. At number 4, I have the Vancouver Canucks. During the offseason, the Vancouver Canucks re-signed Brock Besser to a 3-year contract and added to their forward group with players such as Curtis Lazar, Ilya Mikheyev, and Andrei Kuzmenko. They also managed to get an extension done for JT Miller's contract. There are still a lot of question marks when it comes to Vancouver's blue line. Quinn Hughes is amazing, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Tyler Myers are good, they're just not worth their cap hit. And outside of that, their defense doesn't really look the greatest. One of the main reasons I have Vancouver this high up in the standings is because of Bruce Boudreau. Last season, Vancouver got off to a really bad start. Since Bruce Boudreau took over as the coach of the team, the Canucks have played really well. In the 57 games Boudreau coached, the Vancouver Canucks had a point percentage of .649, which is around 106 points throughout an 82-game season. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be that good, but with the positive change that Boudreau brought to this team, it's hard to imagine them not improving over last season. And I haven't even brought up Thatcher Demko, who is just an incredible goalie. Am I a little too high on this team? Maybe. But I really think that this team can make the improvement and become a playoff team this year. At number 3, I have the Los Angeles Kings. The Kings made quite the splash during the offseason when they traded for Kevin Fiala and signed him to a 7-year contract. On top of that, nobody on their active roster was traded to get him. Basically, just take last year's Kings team and put Kevin Fiala on it. That's what this year's team is. In addition to Kevin Fiala, a lot of the younger players on this LA Kings team should be taking the next step. Guys such as Quinton Byfield, Arthur Kaliev, Trevor Moore, Sean Dursey, even Adrian Kempe, who had a breakout season last year that I haven't seen many people talk about. The goaltending does leave some question marks, with Jonathan Quick getting up there in age and Cal Peterson coming off of a down year. But even with that, the LA Kings should still be one of the top teams in the Pacific Division, and I don't expect Cal Peterson to have the bad season he had last year. I have them at number 3, but I can easily see them being at number 2. And at number 2, I have the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton's biggest issue for the past couple of seasons has been their goaltending, and during this offseason, they addressed that by signing Jack Campbell to a 5-year contract. While Jack Campbell did struggle post All-Star break last season, he should be a more consistent presence in net than Mike Smith ever was, and Stuart Skinner as the backup goalie option isn't all too bad. Aside from that, the Edmonton Oilers also re-signed Evander Kane to a 4-year deal. Kane has played really well since joining the Edmonton Oilers, especially in the playoffs. It's just a matter of if he can stay out of trouble. Also, I've been seeing a lot of hype around Dylan Holloway during the preseason. If he can prove to be a top 6 caliber forward, that would make Edmonton's offense even more dangerous. I don't really have much to say about the Oilers. We all know they're a good team. They were just in the conference finals with Mike Smith. They upgraded their goaltending, which has been their biggest weakness for the past few seasons. This team should be in contention to win the Stanley Cup this season. But I don't think they're the best team in the Pacific Division. At number 1, I have the Calgary Flames winning the division again. The Calgary Flames had one of the most wild off seasons that I think I've ever seen from a team. After losing Johnny Gaudreau to the Columbus Blue Jackets and all the talk around trading Matthew Tkachuk, the Flames off season looked to be a disaster. That was until we saw what the Matthew Tkachuk trade was going to be. The Calgary Flames got back Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar from the Florida Panthers in exchange for Matthew Tkachuk. And on top of that, they were able to trade Sean Monahan to clear enough cap space to sign Nazem Kadri to a 7-year contract. I believe that the 2023 Flames are a better team than they were last year. Even if you don't believe that Nazem Kadri can replicate the career year he just had, this team still has a lot of talent to make up for that. Last year, Jonathan Huberdeau had 115 points, which was the same total that Johnny Gaudreau had. They still have Elias Lindholm, who scored 40 goals last season. They were able to keep Andrew Mangiapane after his breakout season, and they added Mackenzie Weegar to what already was one of the best defenses in the league. At their very worst, the Calgary Flames are just as good as they were last season, which is still really good. The way they were able to turn their offseason around is nothing short of incredible. I think that the Calgary Flames are going to be atop the Pacific Division once again. And those are my predictions for the Pacific Division standings for the 2023 NHL season. If you're still watching up to this point, thank you, and let me know in the comments how wrong you think I am. The next video will be my predictions on the Central Division standings. I hope that you'll come back for that video and maybe even subscribe. Anyways, thank you for watching.